Hello, hello, hello. It's Monday. How are you guys? Come on in. How are all you wonderful people? I hope you're having a good day. I'm just getting out a few things for us to kind of play around with. It is good to have you here. It's good to be here, quite frankly. We've been having some wacky, and I do mean sincerely wacky weather. Super wacky weather this weekend. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. Hello to all of you. We're going to just switch. We're going to change courses tonight and do something different. I've been painting on copper and I'm tired of that. So, to be continued another day. Okay, so there's Linda and Tim. Hello. Hi, Rhonda. Hey, Peggy. Amber, good to see you. Hope you're doing okay. Haven't seen you. Well, it'd be good if the mic was where you could hear me. I haven't seen your name in the chat for a while. I hope you're okay. Let's see. Hey, Ruth. Good to see you. Just going down the list. Connie Kane. Hello. Hi, Karen. You're new? Good. Good to have you here. I'm so glad you joined us. Okay. And if I miss saying hello to you, please know that I'm glad you're here. And I'm Barb, and I'm glad you're here, and I hope you enjoy and have some fun here. So we're going to totally switch gears. First thing I'm going to do is I am going to read just a short article to you because it's a very cool article. It's something that Elton gave me. He got it in the mail, and I don't know what the purpose of it was, but I thought this is pretty cool. Most of you know, I think, that I was a doll pattern designer and doll maker for a long time, and this just really struck me. It is called Mary Paxton Keeley's Dolls of Missouri Women, and I thought, what? I recognize the name Mary Paxton Keeley because we have a grade school. I think it's a grade school named after her here in our town, but I didn't know a whole lot about her. Anyway, this is a short article. Mary Paxton Keeley, 1886 to 1986, so she lived a good long life. The first female graduate of the University of Missouri's School of Journalism, was a pioneering newspaper reporter at a time when few women entered the profession. Her work reflects the rich history of women in Boone County, which is the county where I live, who broke barriers and shaped their communities. Keeley served with the YMCA canteen service in France during World War I. After returning home and marrying Edmund Burke Keeley, she worked as a home extension agent in Virginia. That in itself is unusual, that she would be married and then also working. Following Edmund's death in 1928, Mary returned to Columbia to teach journalism at Christian College, now Columbia College. That's my alma mater. A position she held until her retirement in 1952. In addition to her teaching, Keeley collaborated with sculptors Jean Starr Wixell of Columbia and Rachel, I'm going to say Beiser, it's B-E-I-S-E-R, Beiser of Kansas City, to create 18 dolls representing notable Missouri women for the Missouri buildings at the 1939 New York and San Francisco fairs. Wixell and Beiser carved the heads and hands of the dolls, while Keeley crafted the bodies and dressed them in authentic period garments. All the dolls will be included in Play, a new history exhibit opening in our East Gallery on March 13th. I don't know where that is, but anyway. One of the dolls is Anne Hawkins Gentry, who lived 1791 to 1870, who became Columbia's postmistress after her husband Richard was killed at the Battle of Okeechobee in 1837. Keeley dressed Postmistress Hawkins in her finest silk dress, complete with a silk collar, and I'll show you a picture here in just a second. Complete with a silk collar and cameo brooch, a cap typical of proper women. It's a good thing I didn't have to wear a cap. I wear a cap sometimes, but it is not to be proper. It is because my hair looks like crap. Let's see. Proper women, and a hand-crocheted shawl. Her keys signify the importance of her position, and Keeley even created lace-trimmed drawers, petticoat, knitted stockings, and shoes to complete the ensemble. Through her work with these dolls, Keeley preserved the legacy of Missouri women and highlighted the enduring contributions of women throughout Boone County's history, an inspiring story for Women's History Month. Anyway, I have to show you this doll. Okay, so this, let's see. These are some of the women apparently that dolls were made from. Just in case you might recognize some of the names. This is, let's see, this is Mary Paxton Keeley, I believe. And up here, this is Luella St. Clair. At Columbia College, where I went to school, one of the buildings was named after her. I don't know what else she did. I haven't researched that. This is Jane Froman. This is Jane Froman right here. She was a famous singer. And also at Columbia College, I was part of the Jane Froman Singers. So she's well known in the area. Annie Fisher, and this is a much more recent person in our community, Sabra Tollmeyer. But anyway, okay, so here's the doll. So this is Anne Hawkins Gentry, the first postmistress. So you see the keys around her waist. She has a cameo brooch. She has a hand crocheted proper hat. She has a silk dress. Her head and hands are hand carved. I don't know what her body was made out of, but her head and hands are hand carved. And apparently she is dressed from the skin out in period garments and so forth. Anyway, I just thought that was really cool. And the fact that she did that for a number of different women, I thought was really, really interesting. Anyway, maybe you're interested in that, and maybe not, and that's okay. So, Amber got a promotion. Good for you. You've been working a lot of 2 to 10 shifts. Wow. Well, but at the same time, good for you. We'll miss you. Come whenever you can. And other than that, we're really happy for you. Okay. So, Starla, I hope you are having a good day. I hope each of you. Linda says she loves art history. I just thought that was really cool. I had no idea that she made dolls, let alone historical dolls. I thought that was cool. Anyway. Okay, so I have other things that we'll talk about, but I wanted to go ahead and get started because we can talk while I do this. So one of the things that I've done in the past that is a lot of fun is to take brown paper sacks and to make interesting things from them. And so this is done from a piece of brown paper sack, making envelopes that you can turn into books or you can just use them as envelopes to have put a letter in and send to someone, or make it a gift. But this is like the space to write a letter and have the envelope all in one. So I did several of these a while back, and I thought we should just kind of revisit this. So these are all done from brown paper sacks. So are these. These are little, more like the kind of envelopes that sort of on the order of a catalog envelope or an way oversized coin envelope. And so that is made from those kinds of brown paper sacks. And I thought, well, you know what? We should just revisit this and do something fun with it. So there's some different ones. And here's just some of the papers, painted papers, ready to have something made from them. And I thought, you know what? I think we need to have a total change of pace and do something that doesn't make any difference as to what it turns out like. We're just going to make a piece of paper tonight, and then we'll see what happens later. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. So what I have here is a Trader Joe's. I'm sure if you recognize the name Trader Joe's, you'll understand who Trader Joe's is. It's sort of a niche market, small grocery store here. Some places they're much bigger, but they have I think what you would consider maybe a better quality food. They used to be really expensive. I think they're not quite as expensive as they're not quite as expensive as they used to be. So this is just one of their grocery sacks with the handles. So we are going to first of all dismantle it, and we're going to just kind of take it apart, and then we're just going to play with it and see what happens. They do have wonderful flowers. And so, yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, so it's going to be probably a little bit noisy, and I'm just trying to figure out what the best way is to start. We're just going to start down here. It doesn't really matter, because wherever we start, we will work on, we're just going to work on the whole piece of paper, but we got to get it opened up. So I'm going to cut the bottom out of this bag. That is going to be one way that we can open it up, is to get rid of the square bottom, because I really don't need it. So we're just going to get it to the point that it's just one open sheet of paper, and I may actually cut it down. Maybe into 2 sheets. I don't know. We'll just see what happens. I hope you guys have had a good day today. Yesterday was probably one of the craziest days. I'm not going to keep this. You could keep it and do something with it. I'm not going to. Yesterday was an absolutely insanely crazy day here. Okay, I'm from here. I'm looking to see if where the seam is, where this is assembled together. It's got to be here somewhere. And if not, we're just going to make one up, make up a place to cut it open. Must be here. Yeah, here it is. Alright, we're going to cut right down here. Usually it's like down the middle of the back or something, but in this case, it was here at the side. So I'm just going to kind of peel down the excess paper. I saved this. They do have the most interesting paper sacks, and they change them often with the seasons. And then I'm going to take the handles off. And if I end up with a hole from the paper bag, or from taking the handles off, then, you know, we'll just patch it. Because I really don't need the handles for what I'm going to do, because I'm just after making a big piece of paper that we can make other stuff from, or that we can make things from. So yesterday morning we got ready. We were going to go into church, and the temperature out was 67 degrees Fahrenheit. That's nice and warm. Very nice, temperate climate. And fortunately, we had taken a look at the forecast, and the forecast said that by, I think it was last night, it was going to be 15 degrees. Okay, that's really cold. 32 degrees is freezing here in Fahrenheit world, and the low was supposed to be, I think, 15, and I'm like, 67 to down to 15 in one day is crazy. It's like, that is really, truly crazy. And so, I mean, it was very temperate, wonderful, wonderful feeling weather at 67 degrees in the morning. And you know what? I grabbed a coat as I left home, and I'm glad I did. I am very glad I did. So here's what I'm going to do, because one piece of paper is going to be too big to work on for this. So we're going to just split this in half. And we will either work on both pieces of this today, or we'll work on one piece of this. And I think we'll start on this one. I chose this piece of paper, or I chose this paper bag, because I find the imagery on it so interesting to start with. So I'm going to even back out a little bit more, so you may see some of the edge of the table, but you know, it is what it is, right? It was 15 when Starla went out, and nearly 11 this morning. It was just totally crazy. It was totally crazy. Rhonda says she's saving the brown paper that Amazon uses to pack their packages. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Oh, that's neat, Karen. That's cool. Take advantage. Take advantage of all of those great things that you get to collaborate with your husband. That is wonderful. Okay, so let's, I don't know what I just said, so it doesn't really matter, because I don't remember. Just for, before I get started, I'm going to put some gloves and a bottle on, because doing this kind of stuff tends to be really messy. 65 up north yesterday, and today 3 feet of snow. This is crazy. This is a not going to let me into the squirty part of the nozzle. What this does, it's a skin protectant. It doesn't keep everything from going into your skin. Like it's not a shield. It's not a shielding lotion like there actually are products that will keep paints and thinners and all kinds of stuff from penetrating your skin. That's not what this is, but it does a pretty good job of making it so that you can clean stuff off of your skin a lot more easily. That's what I like, is that it kind of puts a barrier there so that you can get acrylic paint and inks and stuff like that off of you easier. So we started out the day at 67 degrees. Before I get carried away, I'm going to go get some, unless I have some here. No, I've got to go get some water and I'll be right back. We'll see if I can keep my train of thought going as I demonstrate and create this piece of paper. All right. So I am going to use this cruddy brush that I have here, and just so that I can put I have some of those leftover papers. I'm going to just put a few pieces of those around. And while I do that, I'll talk. And this is just for variety, and just because you want to start somewhere. So start someplace. And this is, I'm gluing these down with matte medium, which is Liquitex matte medium. That's what I'm using. So I'm just gluing these pieces of paper down, and these papers are deli wrap, or some of them could be tissue paper, or some of them could be tracing paper. This one over here I think may be tracing paper because it's very wrinkly, and that's what tracing paper tends to do. And if I get some wrinkles in it, I don't really care. I just would like to have all of the edges glued down if possible. This one I know is a rice paper. So we're just going to put a few pieces of paper down here. So anyway, we go to church. And I dropped Elton off because he was teaching Sunday school, and I went to run an errand, and I decided to have a cup of coffee while I was out, and so I did that, and I was not in that coffee place more than about, I'd say 30 minutes. And when I came out, the temperature had begun to drop, and I'm like, well, that is kind of strange. I think I might need to add a little layer of something to myself because it's cold. And at that point, the temperature had gone down from 67 to the low 50s or high 40s. So we weren't down to freezing yet, but it was getting chilly. And so I put my coat on, and I was pretty glad I had it on. And we had to go see a couple of Elton's clients, and that were in nursing homes, and he needed to go see them because they couldn't come to him, so he went to them, and they needed to sign some paperwork for whatever reason. There's no rhyme or reason to why I'm doing what I'm doing. Where I'm placing this stuff, I'm just putting it on here, okay? So if you have scrap papers, and these are kind of lightweight and transparent papers, and I'm doing that on purpose so that some of the actual paper sack will show through. I'm not trying to make this a super sturdy grocery bag. I'm just trying to add some interest to it more than anything. And if some of the motifs or designs on the grocery bag end up peeking through, coming up through some of the layers, that's great. And if they don't, that's okay too. There's a nice butterfly, which may or may not show through the paper. So we went into this nursing home, and we expected we were going to be there, 20-30 minutes, because there wasn't a lot of things that she had to sign. It was some updates that she was wanting to make, and so, she only had to sign her name a couple of times, and so I thought, we both thought, oh, well, we won't be here very long at all. Well, we were there for probably a good 45 minutes to an hour or longer, I don't know. Because sometimes you just can't rush people, and you have to kind of let them talk, and you talk to them, and do the do, right? Well, while we were there, a rainstorm broke out, and that rainstorm dumped a whole lot of water, and I'm like, we are parked far away from the door. We are going to get absolutely drowned when we go back to the car. Well, by the time we got done visiting with the people and the necessary business had been taken care of, the rain had stopped, and the sun sort of came out. It wasn't real sunny, but it kind of came out. And by the time we were ready to leave, all the rain had stopped. It wasn't even really drizzly much anymore. And we walked to the car, and neither one of us got wet, but man, was it cold. It was really cold by then. And so we got in the car. I was very grateful that I had my coat with me. Elton, on the other hand, did not have a coat. And he said, man, it is cold. And I'm like, yeah, I'm so glad I brought a coat. He did not. See, he doesn't like to wear a coat. He doesn't like to wear a jacket. He doesn't like any kind of outerwear if he can get away with it, because he's afraid he'll forget it. All right, we're going to put just a few more little pieces of this on here. And then we're going to go on to the next thing. So we left that particular establishment, and we had to go to another nursing home. And same thing. The woman had to was updating something and she needed to sign some paperwork. And her grandson, who is very good about caring for her, happened to go he was in the church years ago that Clausman and I went to, and actually Elton went there as well. And this grandson is the same age as my son, and he used to be in our children's church program. And I hadn't seen him, and he also went to the same high school that Race went to. And so he came to the nursing home, and he saw me get out of the car, and he always was just the nicest. I mean, when he was a little boy, he was the nicest kid. Ornery, but he was a nice kid. And he hollered my name out, and he says, "For heaven's sakes, I haven't seen you in ages." And he comes over and he just swoops me up and gives me a great big old hug. And that was really fun, just to get to reconnect with somebody. And of course, what should have taken just a few minutes took a very, much longer period of time, just because, it just happens. And the lady that we were seeing was 99 years old. The first lady that we saw was 80. She was 88, I believe. And she was as sharp as a tack. Well, I just put that on there and then folded it right up. And the second lady, 99, and very sharp, she remembered who I was. She knew Clausman. She remembered him, and we visited with her some little bit. She didn't make a lot of conversation as far as like asking questions and things like that, but if I asked her questions, she had no problem interacting with me. And I'm telling you, you know what? We need to celebrate every single day we have, because you don't know whether you're going to have a few or many. And she even said, "I had no idea I would live like this." I'd live this long. And I thought, isn't that the truth? And when it came time for us to leave, and I don't know how long she had been sitting in her chair, but her grandson pulled her wheelchair over in front of her to help her go down to dinner, because it was time for her dinner in this place she was living, and she's in assisted living. And she stood up on her own. Nobody helped her. At 99, she stood up, and she turned around, and she sat in that wheelchair. And her grandson rolled her down the hall. And I'm like, wow. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, that was really something. Okay. So I have some of this collage scraps of paper spread around this piece of grocery bag. And I'm going to get my heat tool. I also have a ceiling fan on. Sorry, I was just trying to untangle my cords here. Okay, I think we got it. So I'm just going to go over this a little bit just to dry it a little bit with the heat tool, just a little bit. Anyway, that was just such a very wonderful and unique gift, surprise gift, to talk to both the grandmother, and whom I've known for a long time, but I hadn't seen her in a long time, and the grandson. Also, I've known him since he was, I asked him how long, because he lived with his grandparents, and I said, how old were you when you started living with your grandparents? And he said, well, I was 5. I was like, wow, I have known you that long. He's the same age as my son. Wow. Yeah, that was a big surprise that I'd known him that long. Anyway, okay. So, moving on. If you have any questions, put them in all caps. Starla says she loves surprise visits and surprise encounters. I do too. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I have some gesso. This is a white gesso that we're going to use because I want to put a little bit of just some, just some random patches of white on here for variation. So I'm going to put, yeah, here comes Braveheart. Elton must be home because I put him out before I started streaming. Okay, come on. What are you doing, Mr. Brave? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you being a good boy? Did you hear that? He had the tiniest little meow for a cat. Meow. Okay, this is the white gesso. I'm going to make this easy. I'm going to paint with a credit card. So we're going to just spread some of this randomly here and there. I am not after necessarily covering anything up. I'm also not trying to save anything by not covering it up. I'm just putting it here and there with no thought of the outcome. And this is just an old credit card, defunct credit card. And the grandson even said, which I thought was funny, he said, I've even watched some of your YouTube shows. And he said, you know, makes me want to try sewing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't believe that. But whatever. Yeah, made him want to try sewing. I'm like, mm-hmm. He always was a flatterer. Okay, let's get just a little bit more. Okay. What you doing, Brave? Okay, enough of that. Another thing I'm going to do is, this is just a wooden stick And I'm just going to scratch some marks in the gesso here and there. The gesso is drying quite quickly, and because I have a ceiling fan on, and so things are drying, but it's just nice to make some scratchy marks. And let's see what else. Let's take this black pencil, which is one we used before, and just make some marks here and there. This is all for the purpose of just getting a base layer down. Just some background marks. Some of it might show, and then again, none of it might show. Okay? And then I'm going to clean that off of the pencil tip. Okay, so we have some marks. It would be funny if he would try it, and I would love to see what he did too. Yep, I would love to see what he did too. Okay, this is oxide black. This is acrylic ink. And I'm only using it because it was on the desk. It's not going to. I'm trying to get it. There we go. Some splats of ink. Yes. Do you want to say hello to your people? Do you want to say hello to your fans? Do you even know that you have a fan club, Braveheart? Do you know that you have a fan club? Would you like to say hello to them? I'm sure they would like to see you. He's down here down around my feet, talking, wandering around, looking at things, wondering why I'm not holding him, because that seems to be what he thinks my lot in life is to hold him. He has turned into, for an outdoor cat, he has turned into the most incredible indoor house boy, and he thinks that he should be brought inside at every available opportunity, and particularly last night, he wanted to be inside with his people. Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh, come here. Okay. So, here's Mr. Braveheart. And he wants to say hello to his fan club. I don't know why. He thinks he's quite important now, don't you? He's about 14 years old. Yeah, he's reached that stage in his life where he's getting thin. And but he still looks very good. His coat's very good. And his attitude is good, and his love language is nipping me. He nips, and I'm trying to break him of the nipping. But that seems to be the way he shows affection. He is funny. He's just a real cuddler, aren't you? And purrs and carries on, and he thinks if I'm talking, like any cat I've ever had. If I'm talking, I must be talking to him, not to anyone else, right? Yours does that too, Rhonda. The nipping is just, yeah. He doesn't nip real hard, but he doesn't nip real softly either. All right, we'll see how this goes. I'm going to turn on the heat tool. I thought he might get real freaked out with the heat tool. So far, he's doing okay. Okay, so I used the heat tool a little bit, and one of the things I want to do is get a piece of that deli paper. Okay. And what I'm going to do, some of these splats are kind of wet, and so I'm going to pick them up and try to transfer them around a little bit. Yes, I see you. You're going to have to go find somebody else to talk to right now. Okay, so that's just picking up the excess acrylic ink to kind of move it around. Your cat can really get you at times. Yeah, they are something else sometimes. Okay, one other thing I'm going to do before I'm going to put some acrylic paint on is I'm going to get some water-soluble crayons. So I just have to look over here in my stash of stuff. Okay, that's not water soluble. Okay, these are water-soluble oil pastels. So this is what I'm going to use. This is Prima water-soluble oil pastels. So I'm just going to get a couple of these and just add. All of this is just adding more interest to this piece of paper, hopefully. And maybe this one. The variety in line and shape makes for a more interesting finished result. Okay. So we might leave those out because we might revisit those later. It's hard to say, but we might. So I'll leave them out. Okay. They are nice. Yeah, they are nice, the oil pastels. So I think what we're going to do now is add some acrylic paint on here, and I'm going to use some of this quinacridone red. We're going to use some of this light green. These are the golden. It's kind of a waste to do this on a piece of paper, but it's what's in front of me, so that's what we're going to do. And some of this flat fluorescent violet, also a golden color, and it's going to be used because it's here. And then we might use one more color, and that would be cobalt teal, which is also in the flat. Okay, so let's just play and see what happens. Okay, so here we go. Let's just put a little bit of the green and spread it out. So by the time we got home last night, we were about starved to death, first of all, because we had not eaten. We'd gone straight from church to dealing with the paperwork, things that needed to be dealt with. All right. I'm going to put this board that has the Tim Holtz nonstick mat, that's what this is, so that I can safely go off the edge in some spots, so I don't end up with just one with a border around it, which is what I have happening right now. I've got a border going on, and I don't want that. I want it to be all the way around. So anyway, we ended up going to eat, and I tell you, I was so hungry. I ate so fast because even though we'd had some food for breakfast, thank goodness, we went and we ate, and we didn't get home until like 7 o'clock last night. And by then, I think it was in the 20s, and we had a snowstorm happening. And windy. It was blowing and snowing and carrying on, and it was something else. That was the craziest day of changeable weather that I had experienced in a while. And so I'm just putting some of this paint on this cheap plastic palette knife. And that way it lets me just kind of scrape it around on the surface. Okay? All right. So there we go. There's that. Hi, Ellen. Just taking a piece of paper and just making marks and color and put down a little collage bits here and there, and the collage stuff may only end up as texture in the background. You may not see any of the color, and that could be what happens. Let's go to the fluorescent, a little bit of the fluorescent purple, fluorescent violet. Can't remember if this has a mixing ball in it or not. We're going to find out. Don't hear one. So, okay, so we're just going to dip in here So anyway, by the time we crashed last night, we'd gone from 67 degrees to 20 something, and we had quite the snowstorm. And today I went into town today from where we live, and the west, this snowstorm and wind had come from the west. So every street sign and like stop signs, stoplights, the names of streets, all the street signs, the speed signs, speed limit signs, all of those, if they were facing west, had been covered with snow. I've never seen anything quite like that before. Totally covered with snow. I mean, there were some of the stoplights today that how the street light, the red, yellow, green, they have kind of like a metal hood sort of over the lights, and those had created the most amazing way for the snow and the wind to build a snow fort inside each one of those little stoplights. And so at one light, it's like, this is going to be amazing to see if anybody knows when they're supposed to go and when they're supposed to stop, because the lights were completely covered. I mean, totally covered with snow. It was like there was just this perfect little round fort of snow in there. And then all of the, like I said, all the street signs, the speedometer, speed limit signs, everything, the names of streets, everything. It was just like perfectly whited out with snow. And because it was cold enough today, and it's going to be cold again tonight and tomorrow, none of it was really melting. And I'm like, this is the craziest darn thing I have ever seen around here. It was crazy. Crazy cats. Elton is herding cats. That's good. It's good for him. It's good for him. It's herding those cats. Now, if he doesn't shut the door, what's going to happen is he's going to go in there and go to sleep, and then the cat's going to make a fast getaway. Because that is how that goes. That's how that goes. All right, a little bit of heat tool. So basically what I'm doing is just making a beautiful mess, or as Dina Wakley refers to it, puke on a page. And that's kind of what it is. And it's kind of puke on a page, which is not a very nice thing to say, but it's very descriptive and accurate. Okay, let's, before we go further with this, let's put a little bit of red. All right, I'm going to put some dots of red. And then, you think it's beautiful art? All right, let's take one of these combing tools. And comb some of this paint out. A couple more You do have to be careful with red paint. That's why I'm not using it as the last color, because sometimes red paint, when you, especially this color red, which is a wonderful color, I love it, but it can look like you've had a kind of a massacre on your artwork. Always turn your art, if you're doing something like this, turn the page or the book. If you're working in a book, just turn it so that you don't end up with everything having like one focal image or one focal spot, because what I'm trying to do here is not make one particular focal point or focal area. I'm trying to make a piece of paper that has lots of different areas of interest. Okay. So, in order for this not to smear more, because there are some thick spots on here, I'm going to hit this with a heat gun a little bit. We'll see if we can get it to skin over a little bit. I know, right? Just like Starla said, you can have that look of some real, you can have some real interesting effects on it. Although, I have to say, I do love using red in my artwork. I like colorful, wonderful, lots of color. So far, all we've done is scrape paint around, okay? Whether it was with a credit card or a palette knife. We added a little collage in the beginning, but mostly we've just scraped paint around on this piece of paper. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a stencil. So let me do that, but I gotta go over here in my closet for a second. So let me grab a stencil out of here. Grab a couple of stencils and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I got my favorite polka dot stencil, and this one, this one I don't think that they make this exact stencil any longer from the Crafters Workshop, but there are lots of places where you can buy circle stencils. This one is like a chevron of some kind. I don't know exactly what it's called. I don't remember. And I'm going to dry out this brush that I used to start with the matte medium. When you do this kind of stuff, you can now see that my area is getting smaller and smaller. That happens when you do this kind of stuff. Hey, Miss Ruth, you like it? Good. And this is cobalt teal in the flat. acrylic paint. We're going to get some paint out. And this is the Golden So Flat. Golden So Flat Cobalt Teal. And I'm going to just use this brush and we're going to just put this stencil down here. And I'm going to try very hard not to dump this paint into my lap. I'm not going to have a lot of paint on the brush. And I'm just going to add some polka dots here and there. And if they come out looking really round, great. If they don't, that's okay too. Hit and miss. Okay. All right. So we've got a little bit of that going on. I'm just spreading around some of the thick paint. Anybody can do what I'm doing. Absolutely anybody can do this. It is just a piece of brown paper sack. All right, and let's come over here and add a little bit more. Every layer that you add can make your, and should make your piece of paper more interesting. Okay, so there we got a few more dots. Spreading out some of that thick paint that I did. I was not trying to get it thick, but in a couple places I did, so I'm just going to spread that out a little bit. And turn it. And let's put that stencil aside and go to this one and see what we get out of this one. Yeah, let's go from this side. Okay. And then maybe we'll go this direction. Yeah, and that just ends up looking like color here as opposed to shapes, and that's okay. It helps control some of the color. And I need a little bit more of the same color because I used up what I put out on my palette, so I'm going to get just a little bit more. Okay, get a little bit more. I'm not carrying a lot of paint on the brush, kind of a dry brush. And maybe we'll go back this direction. So anyway, yesterday was an extremely unusual weather day. We had rain, sun, cloud, fog, snow, and intense wind all in one day. crazy. Crazy, crazy. But in between all of that, I was able to share some really interesting interactions with some incredible people. Very interesting people. Very glad I got to do that. So, I might have starved to death, but I didn't. Elton tried to starve me to death, but I managed to survive. Just barely, mind you. Okay, so we have a little bit of that cobalt teal on there with the stencil. And once again, oh, here, I was going to kind of temper some of these super red places, just temper some of those a little bit so that they're not quite so in your face. I don't mind if they're there a little bit, but just not too bold. So knock them back a little bit. And once again, we're gonna use the heat tool, and dry it just a little bit. Then we're gonna go and use the slick writers, and we're gonna draw some big shapes in black and white. Oh, Starlight, I hope you feel better. Bless your heart. Big hugs. I hope you continue to be creative this week and take more great pictures. Starla, if you don't follow her on Instagram, you should. She does wonderful, she posts wonderful photographs of sometimes very ordinary but very beautiful things. Okay, by this point, the things that are water soluble under here, like the water soluble oil pastels and that black pencil that I used at the very beginning, those should be pretty much sealed in there with some layer of acrylic something. Okay. So these are actually for fabric. These are slick writers, and these are black and white. I'm gonna come in a little closer so you can see what I'm gonna do now that you've seen the whole piece of paper. And I'm gonna use these and just make marks. And sometimes it takes these a minute to get going. Okay, it looks like it's gonna work. Okay, so I'm just gonna make some spirals just because it's one of my favorite shapes. This adds some dimension to the overall sheet. And I just kind of go with the flow. I think it's probably obvious that I don't plan what I'm doing. I just go with it and see what comes out. Keep turning your paper around so you don't get stuck in one corner, or you don't want to get stuck creating one beautiful focal point. At least that's not what I want to do. I want just overall color and pattern. Okay, so there's that. Done in white. Again, I'm going to hit it with the heat gun a little bit. This white paint is called a tulip. Sorry, I'm trying to get a hold of it. It's called a Tulip Slick Rider. It's dimensional fabric paint. The thing that I like about these is they have this tiny little tip. I don't know whether you can still get these. I used to buy them in the local craft store, and I don't know if they're still available or not. You'll have to look for them. And the black that I'm going to use is the same thing. If they have stopped making them, which they may have, it will make me very sad because I love using these. And I buy the black and the white in the big containers, which are 4 fluid ounces. And I just love those. I really do. Now it does take a little bit for the dimensional paint to dry. All I'm after is just to kind of try to get it to tack up a little bit so I can keep drawing on it. And so I'm going to use the black now. And let's see. Actually, let me see if I can find, before I do that, I'm going to see if I can find a marker. We shall see whether this works. This is old. This is an old marker. It is an acrylic water-based marker. I'm trying to see if I can find, it's a 15 millimeter tip, so it really doesn't matter if you find one of these in some other brand. I don't even see what the brand is on these. It's matte. I think it's black or charcoal. Anyway, it's 15 millimeters tip. I'm sure you can find them in, see that big old tip? I'm sure you can find these in different brands. Like I said, I don't know what this brand is. Let's see if it's going to work. Oh, yeah. So I love these to make marks. And I tend to do things in kind of a linear fashion like this. I don't know why. I just do. You could also do them in diagonals. You can do all kinds of stuff. I tend to do things in odd numbers. Again, turn your paper. And I tend to count as I'm using it as a stamp. I tend to count in my head. I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or 1, 2, 3. Okay. And just keep on trucking, doing as much as you want. And because I'm just after making patterns and designs, I don't really care what, that's all I'm doing. It's kind of mindless doodling. And if you want to do something different, then do some fan out some of your marks. They don't all have to be in lines. They can be fan shape. And one of the things you can do to see if you have things kind of overall your surface, and it doesn't necessarily have to be even, but just do you have it covered on the surface, or do you have any places where you're missing black marks or white marks or whatever? Squint your eyes at the design and you will be able to pick up the places where you might need a little bit more. Okay, and then we're going to call it good. It doesn't really matter to me whether there are holes in this or not. If you have any excess acrylic paint on your marker, make sure that you wipe it off, like some of the white. Make sure you wipe it off. Let's see, what other colors do I have here? Ooh, I don't know what that is. Who knows what happened to this one? Look at that. Yeah, that could be mold. If that is, that will be going in the trash. If you don't, this is a lesson, people. If you don't use your stuff, it dries out on you. Okay? Use it or lose it. Applies to craft and painting supplies. So since I used a lot of the black marker, I probably will not use this one on this. The black slick brighter I probably won't use on this. Another thing you can do is, if your surface will allow it without getting all grungified, you can turn it over and heat from the back side. That helps to dry it quicker. This will not be totally and completely dry for a while, but we're going to keep going. All right, this is another one of those acrylic paint markers. This one is not as big as the 15 millimeter. It's a bullet tip, and I don't know, it's an acrylic paint marker. I'm going to shake it up a little bit more. And let's see if it's going to work for us. We'll try it over here at the edge. It may be too far gone, too dried out to work for us. Yeah, that one's too dried out. That's a goner. All right, let's see if we got anything else here. Let me look just another minute. I was looking for a green marker to bring this green back with one of the markers. So we'll see whether the green one that I have, whether it's going to work for us or not, because you just don't know. I really should use these things a whole lot more than I do. This one is a Liquitex paint marker. Okay, it looks like it's going to work. So let's see what it does. Here we go. So what I want to do is maybe just bring some of that green that we started with. It's a similar green. The end of this is really ratty, so it is making some very, let's say, unique marks. Very unique. Because it has seen better days, this marker. There's lots of paint in there. Let's try turning the tip around to the bullet point. All right, I've turned it around. It's not really a bullet point. So we're just going to use it as a stamping tool and put some polka dots on. And you don't have to do exactly the same thing all over the surface of what you're doing. Okay. All right, we've got some of that green in marker form. That's also acrylic paint. All right, let's try this one. This is an artisan marker. We'll see what it does. Who knows? I don't even know where these came from. I don't remember. Okay, so this is an acrylic marker also. And so we're just going to make some squiggles. This is kind of somewhere between a red and a magenta. And then when you guys come back on Friday, we will cut this paper up and we'll make some stuff out of it. We'll make some envelopes, or who knows what we'll do with it. Well, one of the coolest parts about doing these kinds of things is, to me, is just the randomness of it. The random marks and whatever you decide that you want to do. Okay. And let's see if this one will do anything. This is a hot pink painter's pen. I have a feeling this one's real dead. Yeah, that one's totally dead. We'll get rid of that one. Okay, and this one is another one of those artisan. I think these were a closeout thing at Hobby Lobby or one of the craft stores. Okay, let's see. All right, this is one of the things I like to do inside the black marks, is to pick up a color that is very contrasty, so you can see it from far away. Now I'm going to zoom in so you can see it a little closer. Some color that is very much in contrast to the black. Often I do it with white. But I think this neon orange will show up just as, it's just another layer of pattern and color. And it makes those black marks have a little more, how about importance? That's what we'll call it. Okay. But this is something, if you have a white dot marker, is really good to do. And it just puts a nice bright accent into your piece of paper. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish dotting this, and then don't think we'll start on another piece of paper. I might do another piece of paper. If I have time this week, I'll do another paper with some different kind of colorway. And if you guys want to do something similar, you could do that. And then when you come back on Friday, if you want to work along with me, you can do that. And we'll make some envelopes and things together. Usually I make note cards out of stuff like this, but you know, I think we'll cut this up and actually make the whole thing out of this instead of just note cards. Yeah, I like what the orange is doing. And the orange doesn't have any business being in this, just simply because there wasn't orange anywhere else. But I like that nice bright contrast. It's just a nice sparkle. It's like the sunshine on the water. It's a nice sparkle. So I guess, a couple of things I want to leave you with. One, don't forget to look around at places you don't expect to find inspiration, like that magazine that I read that article to you about the dolls that the lady made. They were dolls that were characters of famous people in the area, famous women in the area. If Elton hadn't drawn my attention to it, and he was drawing my attention to it because he thought maybe I knew the people. And actually what I was very attracted to was the fact that the lady had made dolls, characters of people in the area. That's what really caught my attention. So the thing is, you will find inspiration wherever you look, if you look. So keep your eyes open and prepare to be inspired by, to draw inspiration from unusual places, unusual people, unusual circumstances. And then also, don't deny yourself the opportunity to learn from some of the people that you come in contact with who have lived long, amazing lives. They have a lot to teach you, and one of the things, and to teach all of us, and one of the things that you have to do, though, in order to learn from them, is you have to slow down, and you have to be prepared to listen and also ask them questions. That was one of the things that I discovered yesterday with these ladies, is that by asking them questions and then giving them time to talk, it took them a minute to get going. It's like priming the pump. And once we got them going, boy, did they have some interesting stories to tell. And so take time with people and enjoy the stories that they have to share with you, because there's wisdom in those stories. Certainly is wisdom within their stories. Okay, so if you have any questions, pop them in the chat real quick, or comments. Other than that, we are going to call it a night, and I will finish this up, and then we'll do something with this. Okay? So there's a little bit more. You can see up here where there's no orange dots, and then you can see the orange dots as we move through it, which I love how those sparkle it up. Okay. All right. Thanks for being here and joining us, Karen. I'm glad you're all here joining us. I'm going to set this off so I don't put my hand in it, if I can figure out where to put it. When in doubt, put it on the floor. That's always smart. That always works, doesn't it? Okay, I will be here Friday. I will see you then. Until then, as always, remember to get creative today, because it's easy. It really is easy. I mean, that couldn't be easier. What we just did tonight could not be easier. I'll be back on Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and I will enjoy spending some time with you then. Okay? I am glad you were here, Amber. Thanks for being here. All right. I will see you before you know it. Bye for now.